guys, Sally here. Welcome back to Gypsy Rose Peepery. For those of you that had issues with listening or hearing my last video, please know that a microphone is on its way to me as we speak. And this will probably be the last video where I'm not using a microphone. So it's really weird because some people have the issue, and I've asked friends who have watched and they don't have issues, and some of them do, so it's really weird. I can't pinpoint it. I specifically increased the volume of my voice to like 270 something percent, almost 300. So it's really frustrating to hear that some of you are still not able to hear what I'm saying, so I do apologize for that. Secondly, what I'd like to bring up is that I don't think I really did a good job of introducing this series on my last video. And that was mostly because this was an idea that kind of popped up in the editing stage of the video, of that first video. And so my goal with this series, and I kind of posted a little explanation along with posts that I put up in the groups, is that I hope to kind of share what knowledge I've acquired over the past 2 years of making junk journals with you guys. There seems to be a lot of new faces and a lot of people excited to start making junk journals, and I know it could be sort of frustrating and seem sort of daunting because there are so many techniques, so many different options when it comes to making a journal and a cover and putting it together. So this will just be sort of a guide, and I hope to enlist some help. I've already gotten help with the current topic, which is paper bags. Climmie from Climmie's Creations and Terri from Terri Wood are going to help me out because there are so many techniques that you could use paper bags with or in, that they are going to assist me because I would not be able to cover all of it in this video. So we'll jump right in. So these are paper bags that I got from the Papered Soul, and what I'm working on, or what I was working on before kind of life interfered, was this little TN for, it was a project for Tsunami Rose for my July project, and I unfortunately had to kind of bow out because I just didn't have time to finish it, and I hate doing that because I don't think I've ever missed a deadline, but you know, sometimes life gets in the way and that's okay. What I'd like to do is kind of show you what I would use a paper bag, for example, in a journal like this, and then also so that you can see the size that I'm working with, and dependent on the size, that's how you kind of would edit the paper bag. So I'm going to pull this one to the side, and so what I'm going to teach you with the paper bag is how to make a 5 pocket slash tuck spot thingamajigger type thing. I don't have an exact name for it, but I did it in, I think, a video in my last journal or the journal before that, and a lot of people asked me questions about it. And also I'd like to bring up that if any of you have additional questions or additional topics you'd like me to cover, I would love to hear that. Just write it down in my description box and I will definitely put it on my list on things to do next. For this journal, I wanted to create the same sort of, you know, tuck spot, and I'm just gonna pick a page here. But as you can see, if I fold this bag in half, I'm not gonna crease it all the way, but if I were to pretend to fold this bag in half, it's way too long for this journal. So the first thing you'll want to do is see how wide your journal is, and just for easier maneuvering, I'm gonna pull out the page from the journal so that I know what I'm working with. And so here I would normally go in a page that's blank, but on these pages and in this particular journal I double side printed, so we're just gonna pretend. And so you're gonna want to work with the open side because this is gonna be one of your sort of pockets. And so depending on how much room you want to give yourself, I'm gonna end up cutting this whole excess part off. I'm gonna work with the edge of this next one and kind of line it up with the corner of the page there. And then it would depend on how far out you want it to extend on the page. In this particular instance, I don't want it too close to the edge because that's going to add pressure to that spine. And remember, we're going to be putting more ephemera in here. So I'm going to want to kind of stay a good deal away from that spine. So I'm going to edit this bag to kind of end right at this red line here. So I'm just going to mark it. And that's where I'm going to make the actual fold crease. And now that I see it, I think I am going to keep the little flap and just push it back a little bit more. And that's a good, it's about, I would say, 1/2 inch away from the spine. So I'm going to keep it there and go ahead and slice this bag on this side, and that's going to create another pocket. So right about there. So we have our little tuck right about there. So the next thing you're going to want to kind of look at is how tall it is, and if you want to further edit it by cutting it some so that it's lower on the page. I may cut it just a little bit, so I'm going to bring it down to right about there just so this flower is visible. And so I'm going to make a crease with my finger so that I know where to cut. And so I think that's a good height and that's a good width. Now just remember that the bag is now open underneath. So you will want to reseal the bag by putting some glue there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you don't want to put too much because you don't want to change the pocket size too much. You just want to seal it. Once it's dry, you'll have your pockets again. So you'll have 1 and you'll have 2. So in order to make this a 5 sort of pocket slash tuck thingamajigger, because that's the name now, I've accepted it, you will want to add something here. And so I have some digis here that I had printed out for this journal, and they're all kind of big, but I do know I have a few smaller ones in here. And I think this one is good. Maybe that one. There's some thinner ones that might work. Let's see. I think we're going to go with these little tiny ones. And this one works perfect. It is like literally perfect. So we're going to go ahead and glue your little ephemera piece onto the bag, but not on the big flap, on the smaller flap. And you're going to make sure and be careful glue doesn't get in here, because then you'll seal your pocket. So again, a thin layer works best. And before I do that, I always forget the distressing. I'm very bad at the distressing. Let's see. So I just want to distress some. And I don't want it too grungy because it's a nice bright journal, but I do want to do a little bit of contour, shall we say, on this bag here, just for some depth. Okay. I won't see the side, but it bothers me still that I didn't distress it because I'm OCD. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to go ahead and glue, and like I said before, a thin layer works best because you don't want to affect the size of the pocket too much. You want it to be nice and roomy so you can fit whatever you need to fit in there. So again, just as close to the edge of that top flap as possible. And leave your glue out because then we're going to actually put this on the page. So now it's gonna just be strategic. And what I mean by that is, this is your bag. These are the two sides. You will want to glue this middle part together a little. And so, by a little, I mean the whole bottom here. Okay, and then not too far up, maybe 1/3 of the way up. And so you'll want that to kind of stick really well before you try to stick it on here. So we're going to let this dry and I'll be back. Okay, and we're back, and so now you're gonna have something that looks like this. You'll have a pocket here, a little tuck in the middle where you just let the glue dry, another pocket here, and a tuck in the front here. And so now we're gonna put it on the actual page. When you're gluing it onto the page, just don't forget orientation and glue the wrong side down. So we're gonna glue the side closest to the edge of the page completely down and then across on the bottom. And so I don't kind of get glue sort of stuck to the other side. I'm going to open it up so I can get as close to the edge as possible. And then just sort of stamp down, and already the glue is kind of smushing out and getting on my work area. And so again, you will want to let that dry really well before you try and stick anything in there. So I have some ephemera here from Miss Daisy. I cut it to size, and so here we have our first tuck, a pocket there. There is one in the middle. There is another pocket here on the back. And we finally have one tuck all the way in the back. And so that is the project. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it and found it useful. And again, sorry if you can't hear me. And the next person that will teach you how to use paper bags in your journals will be Climmie at Climmie's Creations. So go ahead and check her out. I'm going to put her link right at the end where the outro is, so that way you guys can just go on over there and watch and learn from her. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.